Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this regularly scheduled meeting of the Spring Township Board of Supervisors. At this time, I'd like to ask that you rise and join me in the pledge of the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Executive sessions planned for the city. Nor do you have any since our last meeting. With that, I'd like to open the floor up to communication with the citizens. Is there anyone who has any comments? Before the seating, please step to the left turn. Do we have anybody on?
Ms. Lisa Sanchez spouse.
Moving on to our engineering reports, Ricardo Horn.
Gentlemen, nothing to change or add. The report that was submitted and any questions.
Questions? Thank you. Engineering report.
Mr. Chairman, correct, Chairman, I just have one quick update on the Davies Drive. We're preparing to put those bid documents together, put it out to bid. I received it sometime in October, and yesterday the township got a call from York Water Company, and they have a water line north of the the railroad tracks along Davies Drive and south of it, and they have an interest in connecting those two lines, but they have to go through a PUC process. Interestingly enough, they do this pretty frequently. Their PUC process is like 6 weeks. So with direction from the manager, they're sort of like a supporting utility and partner with the township, so we can accommodate them.
Does that hold our project
It
up?
won't hold our project up.
If that can be done, they can
They
pursue.
can proceed with their approval, and then the unofficial discussion with one of their contractors that performed the water company work against our project. They can do that water line at the same time.
But they will be separate, totally non-affiliated.
Just
Won't go
coordination.
through.
Any questions for the civil engineer? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next items are consent agenda. Are there any items on the run or monthly list? And any of the board members would like that to see?
Mr. Vice Chairman, I move to approve the consent agenda items A through M as listed on the agenda.
Second. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Passes unanimous. Bids, proposals, and contracts. Our first item is a stormwater utility easement agreement.
Yes, Mr. Vice Chairman, this is an easement that we needed. We discovered on an existing stormwater pond that the township does own in the Penn Oaks development on the very eastern side of that development. The outfall pipe is
Have any questions?
Mr. Vice
Aye.
Chairman, I move for the authorization to enter into the stormwater utility easement agreement for 3684 Cheltenham Road as presented.
Second. Motion is second. Is there any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Passage unanimous. Next item is to authorize awarding bids for the 2022 road materials and resurfacing project.
Mr. Vice Chairman, this is the annual road materials and resurfacing project as submitted in memorandum from Danny Craig. I recommend approval.
I just have one question, just want to make sure, I think I ask this probably every year, but this does keep us on schedule to keep all of our roads paved within a certain cycle of time.
It does.
Any other questions?
So there's three. Three individual bids within this.
That's correct. We bid the asphalt as its own bid. We bid the stone materials as its own bid. And the place,
I'm sorry, Don can't hear you. He's saying signals.
It says it's back now. I was just gonna ask him.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear us, Don? Okay.
and it includes the placement of the asphalt on the streets that are listed. So you don't need to approve them individually, you just approve as outlined in the memo and
Okay. Mr. Vice Chairman, I move to approve the 2022 road materials and resurfacing project bids to the contractors as identified in the memo.
Second. Motion is second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Carries unanimous. Next item is to advertise bids for the Davies Drive Extension project.
Mr. Vice Chairman, as engineer Luciani mentioned, he is working on the Davies Drive construction documents. He's near for us to go out to bid for that project. One thing I do want to mention is we're going to include it in the overall work is improvements to the signalized intersection of Davies Drive and East Market Street. That's going to take a little longer time to get those specifications ready. So we will come back to the board separately to bid that work separately, so we're not holding up the main purpose of the road construction.
Don't have any questions?
Mr. Vice Chair, I would move for authorization for the township to advertise bids for the Davies Drive extension.
Second,
Motion is second. Any further discussion?
we're another step closer.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Carries unanimous. Next item is communication from supervisors. Anyone have anything to see?
No.
Okay, I just have one item. I want to give a heads up to the board. At next month's meeting, on September 20th, I believe is the date, the Yalford will be presenting its 2023 budget, of which Charles and I have had a preview of. Just want to kind of give you three of the items that are going to be asked of the Yalford board to approve. And three big ticket items to say. The first one goes back to, they want to apply for a SAFER grant. I believe the timeline would be January of next year when you actually can submit the application, which would be to hire the 3 staff positions that were asked for last year that were not approved. The budget itself that we presented only has the additional costs that aren't covered by the SAFER grant. As I understand the SAFER grant, it covers all costs or most of the costs, I should say, for 3 firefighters for a period of 3 years. So the idea would be that the application will be submitted in January, with the hires, I believe, later in 2023, maybe mid-year or later, assuming the grant will be approved. So that will be in that budget that you see in September. The second item that will be asked for is to revise and improve the administrative retirement benefit package. And the third item, which is somewhat standard, is there's a 5-year capital projection townships ask for each year, and that will be updated to show that in 2025, there are several pieces of equipment that are scheduled to cycle off their useful life, and the reason it's going to be on this year's request list, because as I understand it, some of these pieces you have to order 2 years in advance in order for them to be here in 2025. So there will be a request to approve those capital purchases, or at least ordering those items, so that they're here in time for 2023. And all the details for this will be presented September 20th. We'll have more detail on the background. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, let me know. I can tell you what I do know at this point, any of those or anything else that's in the budget. Okay, solicitors report. Charlie, do you have anything for us?
I do not.
Mark, anything to add to your manager's report?
I do not have anything to add.
I do have one question on that report, Mark, on the running total of the change orders for the police station, that 2.41% is a total as a percentage of the budget, include the 2 change orders mentioned.
No, I don't update my report until the board actually approves.
Approves them
So
under
the
the
next
consent
report
agenda.
will include the 2 from tonight.
Okay. Starting to pick up the amount.
Mark, are they the last 2 adjustments?
No. We are winding down on those, but I'll tell you one that's going to come up, and it was a request by me. The project did not include, the project included for the community room, the folks using the community room after hours have to have access to the restrooms that we're familiar with, that were beside the border. What it did not include was a way to prohibit them going any further than the bathrooms. And initially, that wasn't that big of a concern until we realized that the drug drop-off box will be in the lobby. So obviously, we don't want people fooling around with that. So recently, I think about 2 months ago, I asked for a price to put a retractable scissor type gate in there that will be able to close after hours and keep people confined no further than that. So
It's good. Mark, what is our estimated completion date at this time? Do we have a target date for that?
what I'm being told and what I think are 2 different. I'm being told the end of October for the admin building and end of December, beginning of January for the police. That's not gonna happen. I personally think that it will be December.
Just lost you again, Mark.
Can you
Sounds
hear
like-
me now at all?
Now we can. I think Don and I are-
George asked me what I thought the building completion dates were. And we're being told that the admin building side will be done at sometime in the end of October. Police side being done end of December, early January. I don't believe that's accurate. I believe it's more accurate that the admin building side will be done December, late December, and the police will be done ready for them to move in late January. That's my opinion.
While we're holding together the current police station with duct tape and whatever else we can to keep it functional.
And if that, all that holds true, it may be in our best interest to not move into the administration building until after the police. And the reason I say that is part of this project, the main entrance to the building gets realigned. Not at the street level, but when the project's done, the driveway won't go like it does now to the south of the police station. It's gonna go straight back. And it has a boulevard effect to it with islands. And the York Excavating told me that'll be like 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks for them to do that work, where they won't be able to allow any traffic whatsoever to come through. And they can't start that until the police station is raised. So there may be a chance that it's in our best interest to wait until all that's done, until we move back in. More to come on all that, but just giving an update.
Or the only thing I was looking for, I didn't see was the rec department report, so I just want to ask if you get back to me on this. The individuals who were asking about the pickleball court allocations, I wonder if now that we have some experience under the belt, are there any proposed changes to what we're doing there? So if you could just let me know. if
I
there's been any
will
thoughts on
let you know that, but all of that has kind of calmed down. And everybody has realized that it's working out fine. But I'll get more information on that.
All right, thank you. Anything else for the manager?
Yeah, I have a question. So my wife and I have walked down to Sounds of Summer a number of times over the summertime, and the sidewalks along in front of Public Works and also in front of the construction area are in pretty bad shape in a lot of places. Are we going to bring these up to our standard for the township?
The sidewalk in front of Public Works along Mount Zion Road is on the schedule to be replaced by our own staff. The sidewalks along Pleasant Valley Road in front of the project, I'm not sure exactly where you're referring to, but
Actually, on Mount Zion, in front of the building facing Mount Zion, I think those sidewalks are narrow, and I think there's some issues along there too. We might have replaced a few sections, but just curious what we're going to do there.
okay, I can look further into that.
Thank you, Mark. Some resolutions, we have nothing this evening. Old business listing, is there anything on the old business items list that any board members want to discuss this evening?
No.
Any new business for the good of the order this evening? All right, great, everyone. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.
Mr. Vice
Excellent.